Hi, this is Drawing Girl 4, and I've actually been thinking of a very interesting theory lately. I know I haven't posted a lot, but I've been very busy, but one thing that I've been wondering is that, what if Foxy is Bonnie? And by Bonnie, I mean the old Bonnie in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Now, this may sound really crazy, but let me explain. Now, in my personal opinion, I think that Five Nights at Freddy's 2 decided to do something that really is amazing that I don't really think a lot of games or movies have done well or cleverly. And that is, they're making the entire franchise backwards. The first game, Five Nights at Freddy's 1, is actually the third game. The second game, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, is actually, well, the second game. And the first game, is the third game, but, it hasn't come out yet. Now, the second game technically is a second game, but it isn't the second game to the first Five Nights at Freddy's. That's what I think Scott wanted you to think. Now, I don't want to go into a whole, prequel versus sequel argument, but I'm just going to say one thing, in that the main evidence to support my theory is that if you actually look at both, the animatronics in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and Five Nights at, Freddy's, 2 in comparison, you can see that they're actually pretty different. Now, I know that you might think, well, they're pretty ripped up, especially Bonnie, so maybe that's why they don't really look alike. But when you really look at them closely and inspect them, you can tell they're not really that alike. I mean, for one, Bonnie in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is more of a darker lavender, while I think Bonnie in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 is more like a straight up in-your-face grape color. Like a grape color, and the jawline's actually very different too. Like, all three of the characters in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the older ones, all have sharp teeth, and they don't really look that kid-friendly. And I'm talking about both the endoskeleton and, the visible teeth. Well, in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, none of their teeth are really sharp, except for Foxy. But one of the things that I know is that's creepily similar is that Bonnie, old Bonnie, and Foxy have the same jawline. Now, there's some people that might say, well, if it is a prequel and, the phone guy did mention that, they're using the animatronics, the older ones, for parts now, what could have happened is that after, the second game got shut down, they could have used those extra parts to give them to the newer models. I mean, they did say that they're going to remake the place after all when you beat the game. But here's the thing. I actually like to think that the old Bonnie is actually, the new Foxy in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 is actually a remade version of Bonnie. Now, this may seem a pretty crazy thing to come up with, but I think one thing that really supports my theory is that in Five Nights at Freddy's, the trailer, one thing that you know is that originally it was Bonnie who was supposed to, get you and chase you instead of Foxy. Now, am I looking way too deep into this? Probably, and there's probably, some facts that could prove me wrong. But I think it's a very interesting thing to talk about or think about. Because you never know. Because due to the fact that the animatronics are so, flippin' different, the ones in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 look noticeably newer and much more kid-friendly in terms of technology than the ones that, Five Nights at Freddy's, 2 do. So let's just say one thing. What if that was the animatronics that, once a place decided to stop being Mr. Krabs and actually got money, they decided to get new technology for pretty much all the animatronics. But what if, due to what happened at Bite of 87, due to the fact that, Foxy caused it, that what if they were so scared of that model of Foxy, biting anyone again, that they wanted to, not have anything to do with that model of Foxy, and they completely destroyed it. Same with Mangle. And what if, instead, they decided to use the parts to old Bonnie? Now, you must be wondering, but how does that make any sense? Like, if they really didn't want to use the old parts to Foxy, they could have just used, Mangle. But I actually have a theory that that both Foxy and Mangle had a part in the Bite of 87, and that because we really don't know what exactly happened in the Bite of 87. I mean, we know for a fact that, a kid's brain was bitten off, but you never know. Mangle could have helped Foxy to wreak some havoc, or Foxy could have helped Mangle. Like, something crazy could have happened, and where the staff was just so terrified of them that they decided to remove them both completely, which would explain why Mangle isn't in Five Nights at Freddy's 1. And personally, due to the fact that Foxy's teeth in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 doesn't look anything like Mangle, I think that's what happened. I think the staff was just terrified of both old Foxy and Mangle, so they decided to delete them and get rid of them completely. But the problem with Foxy is that due to how cheap they were only able to make 3 animatronics with new technology. Those being, the core, Freddy, Chica, Bonnie. And they didn't know what to do, so they decided to get different parts for Foxy. One thing that I know is if you look at old Bonnie and look at, Foxy from Five Nights at Freddy's 1, you can tell that the jawline, mainly at the end of it, is remarkably similar the more I think about it. And there's also Chica, but when I look at her jawline, the front part, it doesn't really look a lot like Foxy. But Freddy's, I think, could probably be a good candidate, for Foxy, but then again, his teeth is more squared. So what I think would happen is that they decided to get some parts from old Bonnie, mainly in the jawline, and old Chica, and together they use a jawline to create Foxy, which is why Foxy is the only character in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 that has, like, this really, opening, old-looking jawline, and why his endoskeleton is clearly, visible, and I think because of that, because the company with such a huge, budget, they decided to make Foxy with older parts, mainly through Bonnie and through Freddy. But I think with Foxy, I think that in terms of his front teeth, I think he mainly got his front teeth from Chica. I could look more into this theory, but I don't want to just go through pictures, but just in case, I think I actually, could use a computer to, look through pictures. But I decided that if I want to stay it true to my word, I might as well as look up, old Chica and Foxy, as far as their teeth, and see how well the front teeth for Chica compared to the front teeth of Foxy. Now, the front teeth of Chica are clearly a lot more squared, as you can see, and more endoskeleton-y. Now, as for Foxy, let's see if we have anything on Foxy that will show us some evidence. Alright, this is gonna be hard. I need to look through all the pictures that isn't fan art just to determine. Now, the interesting thing with Foxy is that as far as his top line go, you can barely really see what his top, line looks like. One thing is for certain, and that his top line is sharp. See, as you can tell, the top line is very, very sharp, and it isn't very squared like old Chica. So maybe it was an old Chica, but we might as well, you know, put them side by side. So this looks very pointy, very sharp, and this looks very squarish. But we could always look at old Freddy and see how well he compares. His jaw is very squarish too. Now, the reason why I'm double checking this is because I want to make sure, because the last time I checked, I don't really think Bonnie had a top part to him. Alright, so here we have, maybe this one could be a better view. Here we have old Bonnie, and as you can see, his face is clearly butchered. It's more of a moving picture, so sorry about that. So yeah, his face is clearly, you know, butchered, and what's only less as visible is his sharp teeth. Now, as for Bonnie, look at his sharp teeth. Let's look at how well it compares to Foxy. Now, as for Foxy, we compare to the bottom teeth. The more I think about, the bottom teeth are nearly identical. They are very, very similar. The only difference is that I think the teeth are slightly sharper. So I think what happened is that they did use the old teeth for Foxy, and they did use Bonnie to remake Foxy because they didn't want to have anything to do with the old Foxy and Mingle. And I think maybe what happened is that they probably also used the old Freddy to make Foxy, but they decided to sharpen it up a bit to make him look more accurate to a fox. And, you know, I actually think that it could go, that it could make a lot of sense, because the thing that I realized with old Bonnie is that old Bonnie doesn't really do a lot. I mean, the most old Bonnie will do is stand out, and he'll sort of stay still. I mean, he won't even get his arms out and squat like Chica does. He'll sort of, you know, stay still and watch you, and then he'll catch you. And the more I realize that old Bonnie's behavior is extremely similar to that of Foxy from Five Nights at Freddy's 1. So it could be possible that Foxy is a reborn version of Bonnie from Five Nights at Freddy's, you know, or, well, by that I mean like Fredbear's Diner, the Bonnie from Fredbear's Diner, and that this Foxy right here simply never saw the light of day due to how scary he was, per se. And yeah, that's my theory. If you want to comment and address it, then please do. This is Martin Drawing Girl 4. Bye.